Hi, this is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have K.L. Gilchrist, an author of three novels. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I am fine. Hope that you are well and safe right now.
Yes, yes. Now tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm in the Northeast. I live right outside of Philadelphia. I've been a writer for my entire career, just in different areas. I started out with a communications degree from Temple University, and I originally wanted to be a news writer for like NBC and whatnot, but my pathways didn't go that way, and I started getting jobs as a technical writer. So I've written as a technical writer, I've written in academia, I've written for nonprofits, I've done web writing. It just kind of all leads up. And sometime like maybe a couple of years ago, well, 10 years ago to be exact, I decided that I wanted to go back to my first love, which was always fiction writing. I grew up and books were my best friends. And I was that kid that loved being in the library. So even though I was making decent money doing just all types of writing, especially for software companies, I still decided, no, I love fiction. And I want to take a go at doing a novel. So I talked about it with my husband, and he was like, if this is your dream, then go ahead and go for it. Sat down a couple times to write some books. I wrote a book called Living This Life. It was a horrible book. Never see the light of day, I don't think. Although I might rescue the characters. It was before I really knew what I was doing. I just thought, if I got a premise and a story, I can go for it. And that's not really how it goes. So that book doesn't see the light of day. I wrote a book called Mrs. Jones. That's in the basement too. That'll never see the light of day. But I took those characters, saved them, went to a couple of classes, couple conferences, some veteran writers taught me how to do things. So I salvaged the characters, added a new plot, and that became Broken Together. I still do writing for pretty much any company that wants to contract with me to do writing for their website or writing for their software company. I'll do the gig, but for the most part, I'm doing a lot of fiction writing with my time.
Okay. What is your genre?
I am a women's fiction writer. Women's fiction, contemporary fiction. Some people say it kind of blends together because all of my stories take place in present day.
Okay. Now let's talk about your books.
Okay. My first one, I want to talk a little bit about it. It's called Broken Together. This is it. It's a story about a broken marriage. It opens up chapter 1, and the wife, her name is Tracy. She starts to figure out that maybe something's going on with her husband, and previously they had a really happy marriage. He's a doctor, and she starts to find out that he's deceiving her. She thought everything in her life was pretty perfect, but it wasn't. And I don't want to give everything away because maybe somebody want to kind of read the book, but she does find out that some things are going on. She finds out a little bit more, and she kind of reaches the breaking point. But there's a redemptive note in all of this, and God. I am born again Christian, so God plays like an undercover role in all of my stories. The Lord allows things in our lives to grow us and shape us. And that's what happens to Tracy Jones. She ends the book having to give a lot of grace to somebody who needs it a lot more than she does. I also have to admit it has a happy ending. Not a lot of women. Sometimes women's fiction books have happy endings. Sometimes they just end. I'm a sucker. I like a happy ending. I have to say that. So it does have a happy ending to it. That's my first one. Holding On. It's a novella. That's what it looks like. It's actually a sequel, and it's shorter. I just kind of wanted to write it for the people who said that they liked the first book, and it kind of tells what happened after Tracy and her husband, Dr. Jones, started to have a little falling out because of stuff that she was doing on her end. And actually, I like that first chapter a lot. Is it bad for me to say? I like the first chapter a lot. It's kind of, I read it back and I'm like, woo, I probably read a little excerpt here. Starts with, how would she tell her stuff she's doing on the other end? But it too has a redemptive quality. There's some forgiveness that has to go on. And Tracy be going back to her past when she had her first, her son with her boyfriend from college. She and Dr. Brian, she have a blended family. So there's some things going on there. There's a little kind of hate going on between the husband and the ex-boyfriend, and a little of that. But it does get resolved toward the end. That's holding on. My latest story, though, completely different set of characters. It's called Karthik Chicks, a novel, and this is definitely 100% women's fiction, with all the cries and the laughing and the tears and everything. And it has to do with 3 friends, well, actually 2 cousins, 1 friend, and they have to come together to try to support each other. One of them has a health problem that has to do with her weight. 2 of them start on a health journey. One of them doesn't really need it. But there's a lot of jealousy issues. The theme of the story is jealousy about everything from body to family to situations involving new loves, boyfriends, children, you name it. Touches, I think maybe about every other chapter touches a little bit on jealousy, envy, and how does the Lord really want us to see see ourselves. Mm-hmm. For all 3 of these, I'd say the reason that I write what I write is because prior to my starting to write novels, I was getting a little tired of reading books. Like I said, I'm a voracious reader, reading books, and stuff would happen to the main female character, and the first thing they would think about is doing something wrong. Now, I know that's good for to push drama, make people read the story. But I wanted to see some characters where they could still be spunky, but you would see them say, okay, even if I do something wrong, the Lord still has a presence in my life. And I'm going to try to do my best and less push to the edge. And that's where the drama comes in, where you start to see what people do when they're pushed to the brink. But then how do they come back to that? And how does God play a role? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You would like to read a snippet first?
Sure. I'll read from Holding On.
Okay.
Novella. All right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How would she tell him? Maybe she could slip it in right after they ordered dessert. Something surprising they could discuss at the table. Unexpected, of course, but Tracy and Brian Jones had experienced all types of situations in the history of their marriage. What words would she use, though? Nothing came to mind. Not while she visited the bathroom for the 3rd time since they'd been seated at Talluda's garden. The whole time she washed and dried her hands, she chanted to herself, think of something. The toilet flushed behind her. A stall door opened and an older lady with short white hair sauntered out. She stood in front of the sink next to Tracy, running water, then scrubbing her hands with soap. Tracy pulled a compact from her black clutch and began to touch up her makeup. You look fantastic, sweetheart, the lady chuckled. Not a hair out of place. Tracy gave a half smile. Thanks. I saw you 2 tables away from us in the restaurant, having dinner with your husband tonight? Yes. My, he's a handsome one. Married long? Oh, almost 13 years now. Tracy put her compact away. Some friends told us about this place, and I didn't want to wait until our next anniversary to visit. The lady nodded, moving toward the bathroom door. Well, you can come back then as well. My daughters and I eat here often. You have a good evening. You too, Tracy said. Their next anniversary, number 13. Now, Tracy didn't believe in good luck or bad luck, but really, should they even acknowledge number 13? Or would they skip it or pretend it was 14 or a revamp of 12? Maybe even call it 12 the sequel. The corners of her lips quirked into a light smile as she rubbed cherry-scented hand lotion into her palms. Brian and Tracy Jones. Thank God they'd made it this far. Not without trouble, but they'd weathered the storm together. If happily ever ever after existed. She and her husband were living it. Outside the bathroom, she stepped with care across the hallway and down the wooden stairs. Her brand new heels had a slick bottom. The last thing she wanted to do was slip and fall. So far, it had been a fabulous night for the Joneses, together in the city, chatting with one another and holding hands as they walked into the restaurant, admiring the strings of glittering lights on the wall, sitting at a table for two, sharing their appetizer. Brian had ordered shrimp and scallops for his dinner, and Tracy had requested the roasted duck breast. Everything tasted amazing. With dinner over, she would go back and tell him her news, and they could order dessert to go. They could eat it later after they made love. Yeah, that's it. A wonderful way to end the evening. At the table, Tracy sat down opposite Brian. Miss me? She grinned at him. His voice sounded heavy. It depends. She peered in his face. Blank look, no smile, slack shoulders. What's the matter? She said. What happened? Oh, I don't know what happened. He crossed his arms and pressed his back against his cushion seat. But right about now, you need to tell me how long you've been texting Kyle. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it alone a little.
Okay.
Little cliffhanger, yeah. So it's all good until it isn't. Yeah.
Okay, how do you feel about reviews, whether they're good or bad?
Well, you know what? They're part of our journey as writers. Here's the one thing that I would say. It's hard to, a lot of experts will say, okay, you kind of check 1-star reviews because usually it's hard to get a 1-star review unless you just can't write at all. And most of us who have stuff published can write at least a little bit. And 5-star reviews, depends on, are they really big hardcore fans or they really want to promote you or whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on in the publishing world. But if you get reviews for 3.5, 4, 4.5, you've got something. You've got something. It's good to get them. It's good to hear. Actually, it's really good to get. I like to get a lot of comments on stuff like the whole way through my writing process. I don't like to wait until the end. Like I beg my beta readers and even my alpha readers, the people who are part of my critique group, I bug them early on. I'm like, if I am going off course with this story, I want the reviews now. Don't you wait until I get something out there to say, oh, it didn't work. It's good to get reviews the whole way through, because then you'll know. Because if a story is not working, they'll tell you early on. Saying, this is no. You can take the characters, or you can try to add something to the plot, or this seems too wooden. But at the end, if you've gotten at least 10, 15 reviews along the way, and you've gotten like some good beta reads before the book even goes out, you pretty much know that no matter what review you get, it's almost impossible to get horrific reviews because so many people have had their eyes on it before it went out the door. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did you get your love of books, reading and writing from?
Oh gosh. I'm very I know it doesn't seem like it, but actually I'm very introverted. So from the minute I learned to read, I spent a lot of time with my great grandmother. We called her Nana. I actually named one of my characters Karthik Chicks Nana because in her honor, she passed on in 1990. She would go to me and my sister, we were kind of raised by her a little bit when we were little. She would walk us to these little kind of book sales that were at our elementary school, and we could each take home a book. And I think I still remember, she gave me like a quarter to buy this book called Woody Woodpecker. And I remember holding that book, going home. She put us in bed, and no matter what time it was, if I said, could you read me a couple pages, she always did. She would always read us something, and she would always find us other things. And then as I got older, my dad got me a library card, and I would fall in love. I would just go in the stacks and just pick stuff out and read it. Books really were my best friend. I would never say that. When I got older, I thought, well, maybe I'll write like Zora Neale Hurston, or maybe I'll write like Alice Walker. no, that didn't happen. That will never happen. But I realize that's good though, because I write like KL Gilchrist, and that's that's fine for
Mm-hmm.
me. I love all those writers. Love them all.
Okay. What's the best way to market your books?
Um, I've had the best experiences with, because I write Christian. So I've had actually the best experience going to Christian events, places where, women's conferences, and places where women in my demographic, in the urban church world, who kind of, we walk with the same rhythms, we talk with the same
Yes.
rhythms, we have the same type of lifestyle, and I've had so much love, praise the Lord, from these women, because they don't get as much stuff is out there. They don't get as much entertainment for born again Christians as you think. I mean, you can look at TV, you can look at Netflix, you can look at, all that stuff is out there. You name me three stories that are geared toward born again Christians, and you can't think of any. Book world is kind of like that too. We're getting drowned out. So when these women see books and it's written for their reason, for their sentiment, as people who love the Lord, who may have stuff going on in their lives, but they still love the Lord, and ultimately they want to see characters that kind of know that even the character could be saved or not saved, but they know that there's a God around in some type of way. They want these characters. And so I give, just my heart goes out to the women who just loved these stories, and were like, yes, this is us. This is our world. We'll be there to support you. And they've showed me a lot. So yeah, definitely the women's conferences, the women's retreats, places like that.
Okay. You saying retreats and women's conferences. If I'm not mistaken, you were at CBLR.
Yeah, I was at CBLR. That was a wonderful experience. What a wonderful thing they put together. I'm a newer author. I've only been doing this a couple of years. But for them to open that venue for people like me, and behind the scenes, it was just a lot of fun for me being a fangirl. I can be extra, a little bit of fangirl. I was like, I don't think I spoke. I couldn't even speak when I got introduced to Jacqueline. So I couldn't even speak well, and seeing Michelle Stimson and people like that, and I'm just like, I'm in the room. And no, Miss Queenie, I swear I was sitting here I'm like, I didn't even care. I'm like, I don't care if anybody buys any books. It was the fact that God let me be in the room. And I thought to myself, only God could put me in a room with these people who have read their books. It just, I'm like,
I went to the book fair.
I
got to go to the book fair. I didn't go to the retreat itself last year. And I didn't tell nobody I was coming. And I showed up, and Angela was lit. She was like, oh my God, it's Queenie Clem. I was like, yeah. And she said, Michelle is over there, Pat's over there. She was naming people. I was like, okay. And when I got to Michelle, all I could do was bow down.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the queen right there. That's the queen. I'm telling you, I love me some Michelle. I love me some Michelle. Godly. But I will be there. Huh?
These women are so down to earth. And,
yes.
Everybody started somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. How did publishing your first book change the process of your writing?
Woohoo! It showed me that it's not just about writing it. It showed me there's a lot of thought that has to go into the type of cover and the type of marketing that's going to happen after the book comes out. So it's gone are the days of just sitting there thinking, oh, I'm just going to write a story. No, you're not. You're going to think about what these characters look like. What type of message are you putting out there? And so now when I'm writing, like I'm rewriting, I wrote a book called Engaged. I'm rewriting it right now because the writing really comes with the rewrite. It doesn't really come with the writing. It comes with really figuring out who your characters are in that third and fourth and fifth draft. So that's where I am right now. The whole time though, I'm making little mock-up covers Because it has to communicate, just like with, I'll show Thick Chicks again, like a cover has to communicate stuff. It's not, you can't just write a story. It's like, so I can't just have a cover that just has random stuff on. I'm like, you need to know it's multicultural. You need to know it has a younger lady in it. You need to know there's a businesswoman. And so I got to communicate all that to the designer. I didn't think about that the first time. Now I think about that, and I consider how to make the, just not just the cover, but also the other things that come inside of the book, from the copyright to the acknowledgments, excuse me, how much information needs to be really communicated to the reader. They don't just want to know that you wrote a book, they want to know that you thought about them and who might be interested in reading the book after it gets out.
How do you balance the demands of writing with other responsibilities?
I don't think I do. Sometimes I gotta be a real brat. I'm gonna be honest about that. Sometimes I'll be like, no, y'all, I got two young ladies, beautiful girls walking around the house. Sometimes I'm like, y'all get up from around here. Don't be in my room when I'm trying to write this stuff. Sometimes I have to overwork, which means I'll have days where I'm just like, leave me alone. This is just what I have to do before the whole household gets up. And then sometimes I can't do that. I have to focus on what my household needs of me. And sometimes I'm, like I said, I'm still contracting. So sometimes I'll have a contract and I have to work for that employer and write their stuff and consider that and put my stuff to the side. I never have a day where I don't write something, even if it's just like 200 words. That could be real low. But I always write something, but it's a process of either balance and rebalance. I get back into the swing, I get out of swing, I get back in. And I always have like a thought, like one step ahead of where I'm going to be going. Or I wouldn't even say I have it. I think God has it for me. I did think that I had like a whole other book planned after Engaged, but then the Lord altered my course and he was like, no, I don't want you to write about that. Put that to the side. I need you to write about some retirees. And I need you to write about the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. You know, what happens when your dreams can't come true. I need you to hook me up some characters. And I was like, well, yes, Lord, I'll do what you say. Mm-hmm. So now I'm putting together some notes for that story.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn when writing your first book?
That it takes, the biggest thing, very few people told me about this. I actually didn't learn it until I was into like the second draft. And that's pacing is everything. You could save a story with pace. I did not. I had somebody write me back from a book publishing company saying, we like the characters, but you're gonna have to rewrite. And they were getting that stuff, but I didn't totally understand at the time what they were honing on was pace. I didn't know there's like a formula to getting good pace, to getting those spinning points in the plot. They have to hit at like a certain time. Had no clue for the first time, but you know what? They always say nothing's wasted. It wasn't wasted. I get it now, Miss Queenie. I pace before I even write the daggone story. I pace. I set the pace. I know exactly where everything's gonna go. I'm not doing that again. I'm not wasting my time again.
Who would you like to collaborate with?
Oh gosh, everybody. And literally, if anybody asked me to like write with them or to write anthology with them, I would do it because I love other people's work and I'd love to see my stuff with it. I don't know if you know writer Maurice Gray. I like his stuff. I like his stuff because I like that he'll write about serious stuff, but he has like a great sense of humor. I love people who have a really good sense of humor. And he writes stuff, about people who have faith. Ultimately, though, if I was going to collaborate with anybody who wasn't necessarily a person of faith or be able to be in the room and write with them, it'd probably be two people. It'd be either Issa Rae, who has that show Insecure, because I think I gravitate toward humor a lot, or Terry McMillan, who's always been a favorite of mine. for just ever since I read her first book. She's the only author that I own all of her books, every single one. I love her character. Yeah.
I said, me too.
You too, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I interviewed Maurice this weekend.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's amazing. I'm going to stalk him one day and say, okay, you do the male character, I'll do the female character. We're gonna come up with something because this is gonna be bomb. And he'd be like, what? I'm such a fangirl.
Yes. What is your role in the writing community?
Ultimately, I think I see myself, I haven't gotten to this point, but I really want to get to this point where I can start to mentor younger writers and help them to see that they can write his vision. Mm-hmm. They can, especially writers of faith, and that they can get out of their way and write good stuff. A lot of people kind of come in and they try to write around what they want to say. And it had to kind of be, I want to be that trainer, that mentor. It's just like, no, write what you want to say. I've read Anima. I don't even care if you're Christian and you can't find any other word but a certain curse word. Believe it or not, there's ways to play around with language. There's ways to do things. And it's like, you got to say that. Like I said, read Anima. See what she says about, being able to use vocabulary. We're authors. I'd love to be able to teach people to have that type of freedom. I think everybody has a story. You have a story. Everybody has a story. Right? Other writers can teach how to get that on paper.
Yes. And
get it on their well.
What do you consider to be your best accomplishment thus far as a writer?
Being able to sit down and finish books. A lot of people start books. Very few people finish them. And no matter, like I said, I've written, books that haven't seen the light of day. But for every one, to be able to get to the end and say, okay, I may not have liked how it turned out ultimately, but I got done. It's like being able to say you got through a marathon. It's not easy to do. But to know, I think that goes for anybody. Anything that you've done is like you gotta hang in there. Novels are that for writers. If you got it, anybody can write a poem or a novella or something. I'm not anybody, I won't say that, but anything short. But like 40, 50 chapters with multiple plots to sit there and get through that. The first time I did it, I think I cheered. I ran up and down the street. My neighbors thought I was crazy. I didn't care. I was like, I did this. Did it get published? No, it's still sitting in the basement, but I did do it. And I want to keep doing it. I want to keep writing God's vision. I still do.
What inspires you to write?
Usually when I get an idea for character. Oh, I tell you what inspires me the most. Believe it or not, listening to sermons, hearing different pastors speak about certain issues. Or hearing people talk about, as morbid as this sounds, hearing people talk about pain. Pain is a motivator to all of us in different ways. For some of us, it makes us want to go and do better. For some of us, it makes us do work. So I'll hear like a snippet of a pastor maybe talking about people guarding their heart, and I'll think, okay. What would that look like in 2020? What would it look like now? How would somebody guard their heart in the Instagram age, in the Twitter age, in this exposed age? And what if characters were about to get married? Did they stay pure or did they not stay pure? This is a different world. How do you guard your heart? How do you stay out of temptation? It's okay not to stay out of temptation. I just keep going. What if you had this person? What if you had that person? What if they, and you just start adding little things into the salad bowl. But a lot of stuff will come from just hearing different pastors or speakers talk on certain issues and teach Christians and people who want to be saved on how to handle life. That inspires me.
Okay. What are you working on right now?
I'm working on Engaged. Millennial couple, getting married. They have 6 months. It's full on crazy. I do so much humor in this book. It's mostly humor. I would call it a dramedy though. Because there's pieces of it that get real serious, but for the most part, there's some pieces that are just slapstick funny, and I can't get away from that for this one. I just can't, and I'm enjoying it. But the serious pieces really lodge, and I think I have gone to seminary, but I am not a pastor. But there's pieces of it, particularly in the premarital counseling segment, where I am teaching a bit. Although I have come to recognize, or other people have told me, it's you're writing novels. Don't be a self-help book. I said, yeah, no, but I just have to weave a little bit of it. So I'm trying to go light on it, but I'm doing a little bit of counseling in the middle of Engaged, and loving writing the comedy. And hopefully it'll be out sooner rather than later. This quarantine has set me back a little bit productivity-wise, because I got a homeschool. So, yeah, haven't been rewriting stuff all day long.
Yeah. So will this book Engagement be out by CBLR time?
I am praying, but even if it isn't, I might have, like, hey, I hear you. I may have, and I want to go to that again. I may have a prequel copies that I may want people to possibly read for free and give me their, remember I told you I like to get eyes. I like to get eyes on my stuff. So if it's not ready for prime time, it'll just mean it's ready for people who would like to see it, and give a free copy, and then just get that feedback. Get it coming back and tweak it. Yeah.
So where can readers find you and your books?
Okay. I have a website. It's www.klgilchrist.com. I'll hold them up so you know where you can buy everything. Broken Together is available from all booksellers. You can request it, Broken Together, KL Gilchrist, from any bookseller. You can get it, not just Amazon. And the same thing with Thick Chicks. Available from any bookseller. You can ask for it. And order it, and they'll get it to you. Now, Holding On is available Amazon, Drafted Digital, Barnes & Noble, Walmart Kobo. Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
I just want to say thank you, Miss Queenie, because without you, people like you, people like me, newer authors, we wouldn't get as much support. And the fact that you even want to talk with us is just so wonderful. And God bless you for doing that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for every reader, and for the Christian readers who want to see stories of faith. Please pray for us as writers, that more of us who want to carry that bloodstained banner right into Hollywood. Pray for us that we would be able to do that, and show, we got an audience too. we got people who want to read about us too, and everything's not a church drama.
Yes.
Some things are, but a lot of us, the drama isn't from the church. It's from people, and it's characters, and we're not. I don't want to get on the pulpit and start saying, all of us aren't trying to start drama inside the church. Some of us just trying to live our lives, and sometimes it's difficult. We have real life situations, and we deserve to have narratives out there. So pray for us.
Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Again, this is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.